The area of study is the Suncity Gass Road in Vasai, which is a 1 kilometer long stretch of straight road with open fields on either side. This road is used by many people for various activities along the stretch of the road and in the adjoining fields throughout the day. This area consists of diverse physical, biological, and cultural characteristics. Being one of the very few open lands in Vasai, it is under the threat of destruction in form of different project proposals for this land. The purpose of this research is to preserve the wetlands and the original biodiversity of the area while adding a new perspective to the future growth of the place. Saving the wetland gives rainwater its home, successively saving the abutting urban areas and establish developments from flooding. The goal is to develop a land capability map for Vasai based on its ecological feasibility and to derive land suitability for future buildable areas within the constraints of semi-open hydrological network. The study also looks at conserving the stability of fragile ecosystem of water bodies and tidal flats, and understanding modifications in prevailing cultural system and identifying issues related to the natural environment and sustainability of local communities. Based on observations and comprehensive understanding of the land conditions of this area, the thesis aims to build a community and a skill development center that engages the general user group sufficiently, providing a positive impact on their well-being through the qualities of the built environment, and in due course enhance a sense of attachment between the people and the place that will assist with the conservation of the open field around Suncity Gass Road in the future, thus making it difficult for any authority to vandalize it. This thesis project deals with two major aspects. First being, how can architecture and the environment in collaboration have the power to restore and promote solitary mental and physical health and truly enhance human well-being? And secondly, how can architecture create a sense of engagement with the people and the place and a strong emotional value in people's minds? Some of the crucial reasons that makes this place important is because of the natural and economical features. The fields around this road act as a sponge for Vasai, hence preventing flooding in other parts of the town. The openness and scenic quality makes it exciting for more and more people to visit here. A vast range of symbiotic relationship between different species at different points of the year is seen here. Apart from these natural features, Suncity is famous for it being the fastest connecting route between Vasai to the northern Vasai. The map on the left talks about the flow of water coming in from the Arabian Sea and different urbanizable zones along with the locations for marshy lands. The map on top right shows Vasai Virar region and the one highlighted in red is our region of study. Shown on screen is the pictorial aesthetic of the Suncity Gass Road. This road has a garden governed by the government in the middle of the 1 kilometer long stretch as shown in the picture below. A large portion of land in Vasai Virar region is dominated by hills and open spaces including green zones and marshy lands. These lands have scattered development and approximately 13% of the entire land goes under no development zone. The area that surrounds the railway line is densely urbanized and the settlements scattered as we go further away. The river Vaitarna embraces the region from the north and Ulhas River from the south of Vasai. As you see on the map, the elevation level increases as you move towards the east. At some regions, the elevation goes below water level, forming marshy lands or wetlands. After further zooming into the actual study region, a detailed mapping and identification has been done that talks about different types of zones surrounding the study region, water canals flowing around the site, road networks, and the water bodies. One of the most important landmarks on this road is the Suncity Park and the Suncity Vasai Events Ground. The Vasai railway station is at a close proximity from the site. As you move further away from the railway line, you see dense amount of trees. A lot of birds, including birds like flamingos, kingfishers, visit this area during the season of monsoon. After studying the contours, the areas marked in blue are the ones that get waterlogged at most point of the year. Red dotted line shows the flow of water during high tide. This map gives us an idea of major waterlogged locations in the site. The soil being clayey, loamy soil swells up in the presence of water. A large amount of mixed community, including Brahmin Christian majority, is seen in this area. This particular diagram highlights the predominant activities performed at specific locations. The crowding pattern and density when studied before and after pandemic had a difference in terms of noise levels and crowd. The diagram beside talks about the crowd concentration at various stretches of the road. Even during pandemic, it is observed that the kind of people that visit this place on weekdays are the people who visit this place daily for walking, cycling, jogging, by vehicle, etc. As vary to the people who visit during weekends have a lot of weekly visitors who predominantly come to enjoy nature, watch sunset, sit by the lake, etc. This weekly crowd contributes in making the place noisier than usual and increases the crowd at some junctions drastically. The pictorial study below talks about the difference in population on weekdays and weekends. The figure above talks about the change in activity pattern with the change in the user group. A majority of young adults and old age people visit this place in high numbers. Variety of activities ranging from playing, exercising, walking, jogging, cycling, selling fruits and vegetables, bike racing are performed here on a daily basis. The street is most crowded around 8 to 11 a.m. in the morning and 4 to 7 p.m. in the evening. The open fields around the streets are used by children for playing sports during dry seasons, and the same fields are used by fishermen for fishing during the wet seasons. The sky gives a dramatic look every time you visit this space. Such a varied diversity in the sky coverage excites the people. A large amount of people sit for hours gazing at the sky here. A diverse range of landform in terms of level difference, land texture is seen across the sections. Each section, although cut across a particular plane, shows varying land conditions just few meters away from the cut section. One of the major reasons why waterlogging during monsoon happens in the site is because the mouth of the estuary became shallower due to siltation caused by deforestation. The formation of mudflat areas resulted to colonization of mangrove species around it. This blocked the tidal flow due to railway embankment and has disturbed the sediment balance in the estuaries indirectly. The imbalance of fresh water is due to excess runoff in the area. The fresh water from the stream flowing into the estuary is either blocked or is let out to the sea even before it percolates into the ground or mixes with the saline water. Figure 4.1 is a representative sketch which shows the dense forest around the creek. Figure 4.4 sketch showing forest conversion to agriculture and slow process of siltation. Figure 4.3 sketch showing mud flats reclaimed to salt pans and blocking of tidal flow in the estuary causing water imbalance. Figure 4.4 is a sketch showing choking of tidal water leading to waterlogging in the city. The circulation of sediments is very low and hence water remains stagnant there for a very long period of time. This is due to the roads then encircle the mangroves and block the intertidal water entering the areas. These mud flats, especially at high tides, are important feeding grounds for fish and other wildlife. Also, estuarine mud flats, mangroves, and salt pan areas are the city's last defense against ocean flooding. With economic growth and rapid urbanization in past decades, has seen the intertidal mudland as not a natural resource but as a potential new land for economic development. A huge portion of mud flats have been reclaimed to salt panning years ago. The figure on the right talks about the land use history of the Suncity Gass Road. This road is owned by Vasai City Municipal Corporation. It is also known as a rainwater sink, which prevents flood. It was designated as salt pan in the year 1989. A 25-year lease was given to the firm named Gogate Salt Chemical. This lease was expired in the year 2014. Later, the land was reserved as no development zone, out of which 1,560 acres of land is reclaimed as no development zone and the remaining 50 acres of land is given for government projects. In the no development zone, the MMRDA has proposed a growth center. The area of study comes under Ecotone 3, where circulation of sediments is very low and hence water remains stagnant there for a longer period of time. The map on the right talks about the salinity affected areas with increased waterlogging highlighted in red. The representative sketches show reason for salinity, waterlogging, and inadequate tidal flow. In the first figure, water flowing downstreams is trapped by the railway embankment. Later, the waterlogged areas with saline water does not support plant growth. Elevated lands and induced embankment of the railway line together block the water, leaving it stagnant at particular locations, because of which the water entering inside the site during the spring tide remains waterlogged in salt pan areas. Three different types of case studies were studied for program identification. The first type looks at the language of the built form by fusing architectural form with the landscape. The second type looks at the sustainability aspect, material palette, and functions. And lastly, the third type looks upon the stormwater sponge effect of the site. Different design strategies and architectural expressions, along with the type of public spaces, were studied from these case studies, and relatable features are being incorporated in the design proposal. After studying the site in detail, we now look upon the factors that will derive the program. Initially, we started with this worthwhile experience of the road that needs to be conserved. Later, we realized that the road gets its importance because of the openness of the fields around it. Then, we studied the physical, measurable, and natural factors about the fields. Hence, realizing the importance of waterlogging in Suncity and the role it plays to act as a rainwater sponge for the Vasai village. We studied about how the community looks at this place, evaluating different values people have associated with the landscape. Right now, there is a sense of community in Suncity to a smaller extent. People visit this place because the openness of the landscape is available. The intention is for the people to feel a sense of attachment with Suncity and visit this space with some predefined purpose to reach a destination. The entire stretch of the road, having a wide range of diversity at different nodes, already engages people in different kinds of activities. People living in Vasai understand the importance of letting the fields of Suncity waterlog during some seasons of the year and the effect it will have on the landscape around it if any form of construction happens here. This project intends to create a strong relationship between the people and the place and eventually make it difficult for any authority to vandalize the region without seeking consent from the community. The intention is to create an intervention that engages all the general user groups sufficiently and positively, impacting their well-being through the qualities of built environment and eventually building a sense of attachment between the people and the place, which will help the conservation of the open fields around Suncity Gass Road in the future, hence becoming difficult for any authority to vandalize it. Later, why people-place relationship is necessary in this space has been decoded in the form of questions like why, what, how, and who. Right now, there is a lack of emotional ownership and safety, which in turn creates lack of sense of belonging. To have a sense of belonging is broken down into smaller pieces or elements. One is to have a sense of membership, giving rise to emotional safety and sense of identification. Other is to have sense of influence, where individuals impact on the group and the group impacts on the individual. To have sense of shared emotional connection, where the importance and strength of the relationship within the group has been seen. And later is the fulfillment of needs in terms of shared values and public realm. These factors in cohesion creates a social engagement, where participation in social activities are highlighted. The objectives of the approach, which increase level of engagement, are to inform, consult, involve, collaborate, and co-lead. When these factors come together, they form a socially inclusive society, which in turn forms a sense of culture. In the sense of culture, there is a sense of capability in terms of community and participation, a sense of connectedness where the relationship between people and different species have been highlighted, a sense of purpose, economic purpose, ecological purpose, or recreational purpose, and a sense of resourcefulness in terms of environment, air quality, health, and creativity. Later, we come to the user group as to who we are designing this for. The first user group is the visiting crowd that already visits here. The second is the crowd that depends on this place for economy, like street vendors, farmers, fishermen, people using this road as a transitional route to reach a certain destination. And the third is to invite the non-visiting crowd. After understanding all the factors, the program demands to build a community and a skill development center which will allow people to learn socialize, and relax. Learn in terms of create, exhibit, and observe. Socialize in terms of having formal and informal socializations. And relax in terms of personal and group spaces. Understanding that the entire road is a long stretch of a road, we come to a conclusion of having two kinds of interventions. One will be the intervention at a specific point, which would be the community and the skill development center. And the second would be the intervention along the stretch of the road, which would be more urban intervention in nature. The intervention at the specific point, which is going to be the community and skill development center, will include programs like reading spaces, writing spaces, dance, music, fitness, yoga, drama, gym, sports, library, arts and craft spaces, workshop spaces, exhibition halls, counseling spaces, food courts, space for vendors, cultural center, parking, kids zone, youth center, etc. Intervention along the stretch of the road would include activities for fishing, sports, jogging, walking, cycling, marathons, sightseeing, eating corners, street vendors, pavilions, and broadwalk. The site highlighted in yellow is the most suitable land to design a space for public here. Reason being, maximum open view of the entire space can be viewed at a glance through this space. Variety of birds visit the wetlands near the site, hence giving it a significant view for the user. The forest on the other side and view of mountains can be best experienced and viewed from this point. Because the site is placed at the end of the road and located not very far from the sea, the air carries a tinge of salt in the southwest direction. Small scale temporary interventions would be done in the areas marked in yellow along the stretch of the road. The entire interventions are divided into three different types. The first part would have a sunrise and sunset viewing point. The second part would be a fishing point where fishing activities are conducted at maximum. And the third part would be the urban road park.